Hi everyone, and welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, the Last Angry Geek, and it's time for another one of our vlog reviews. I just saw Avengers: Infinity War, and if I have to sum this movie up in one word, it's damn. That was awesome. The Russo brothers make Joss Whedon look like a hack. I'm so glad they took over the Avengers franchise from him. This was a great film. I really enjoyed it. Not as introspective with the characters as, say, perhaps Civil War. This is straight up action. It's Thanos' quest to get all the Infinity Gems that we've set up throughout the Marvel Universe and all the other MCU films. And the whole question of where's the Soul Gem, that's the one that's been unaccounted for. It's all answered, and it's just the Avengers trying to stop this oncoming storm, as it were. I'm not going to go through each character performance like I have in previous reviews, because that is a long list, so I'm just going to hit the major beats. Let's start with Thanos himself. I assume he was motion captured, but also voiced by Josh Brolin, who we're going to see again in Deadpool 2 playing Cable. They've already made some jokes about that in the last Deadpool trailer. But Thanos, I'm glad they changed the character from the comics. In the comics, he's in love with death. Everything he's doing is because he loves this physical embodiment of death in the Marvel Universe. And he's just a complete amoral bastard in the comics. Here, it's more like he's driven, more like he's a pragmatist, but he's come to the wrong conclusion. He's taken his ideas to the extreme. He's kind of a cosmic Ra's al Ghul. The universe is overpopulated, our resources are being depleted. The best way to put everything right is to wipe out half the universe. He's not doing it because he loves death, he's doing it because he wants to bring a sense of order and peace to the universe. He's a very smug character, but not snide. There are a few logic questions, like the aliens he calls his children. Are they actually his children, or are they more adopted soldiers like Gamora was? In the comic book, the Obsidian Order, I believe it's called, are just a bunch of his generals who kind of lead this cult army of his. But, you know, they've worked. I think Corvus Glade is a more prominent character in the comics. Here he's just kind of like one of the background generals. The Ebony Maw is more of the leader. And I like that character. I'm not sure who did the voice, but when he's torturing Doctor Strange, we have a lot of fun with that character. What surprised me about Thanos is I was not expecting all these emotional beats. I was not expecting to get very sad and moved by the scenes with him, but when they bring Gamora in and they have that father-daughter relationship, there's a lot of emotion there. She cries after she thinks she's killed him. He cries after he thinks he's killed her. And there are a lot of beats like that in the movie. There are a lot of parallel moments where something happens to two characters and then it happens again later on to two other characters. We'll go through those as I move through the list. But yeah, there was just genuine remorse with Thanos over what happens to Gamora. Even at the end, when he gets everything he wants, he still has to kind of confront that perhaps it cost him too much. And if there's an MVP for this film, it's Zoe Saldana as Gamora, because they really kind of complete the arc they started in Guardians 1. She's gone from being Thanos' #1 right-hand general killer to making peace with her longtime rival, her adopted sister Nebula, and falling in love with Peter. And then finally in this movie, she tells Peter she loves him, but to ask him to kill her is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of trust. She trusts Peter more than anyone at this point. And it's heartbreaking, that scene where she asks him to kill her to keep this gem out of Thanos' hands. So when he does it, it's played for laughs with the whole Bubbles thing, but, you know, it's also, it's a tense moment. There are a lot of tense moments with Gamora where you see that now it's kind of a shame, because now this humanity and compassion that she's regained, she lost with Thanos and she's regained it all, but that's what he uses against her to get the Soul Gem. He tortures Nebula in front of her until she breaks, and that's another callback to what happened with Thor and Loki. Thor gets tortured in front of Loki, and so you have these, Loki and Gamora, you have these two formerly horrible killers who are broken by Thanos when he tortures their siblings. And man, the Russos really kind of hit the erase button on Thor Ragnarok. I mean, they killed Loki right away, which I kind of saw coming because he was barely in the trailers. He did just like one scene in the trailer, so I knew he wasn't going to be in much of this. But that Thanos also wipes out the Asgardians is nuts. I mean, they're all dead at the end. Heimdall, he blows up the ship with all the families on board. I mean, Thor is now the last Asgardian. I'm glad that they explored the toll the Marvel films have taken on Thor, that he's no longer the happy-go-lucky character he was, that all this death of his family and his friends is now weighing on him. But he does have the best heroic moments in this film. I mean, the only time the audience I was with burst into applause was when Rocket, Groot, and Thor show up on Earth, and he's got the axe and he's ready to kick Thanos' ass. Bring me Thanos! The Guardians had all the funny lines in this film. My favorite line in the movie, not, I'll take it a step further, why is Gamora? Or whatever the line was. No, my favorite line was just, hi Drax! Just so you could have his reaction. Damn. I think he really thought he was invisible. Drax is a wonderfully out-of-touch character, but it works for him. As for Team Iron Man, the ones in space, I like that everyone kind of had their own relationship with Tony. Peter kind of hero worships him. Doctor Strange and here just kind of at each other's throats. They're these two kind of massive egos butting heads. You know, maybe you don't think of Doctor Strange as an egomaniac, but that does come across in a lot of the comics and stuff. That he's, hey, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme. I like the one that, unlike everyone else, I don't work for you. You know, so. But then they kind of make peace at the end when Strange gives up the time gem to save Tony. In part, I think, because he's seen all these futures and only one where they win. So maybe that future relies on Tony. Maybe just in the end, it's the doctor part of him reaching out saying, I have to save this life. He's been saying all along, I'll sacrifice you all to save the gem. But when the time comes, he gives up the gem to save them. And that's an understated heroic moment. But, you know, I liked the chemistry between Benedict Cumberbatch and Robert Downey Jr. Tony's very serious, but none of the Guardians of the Galaxy are really that serious. They're not really interested in plans or what did Peter say? They're not really interested in plans that don't involve winging it. I thought at some point everyone was going to get together in this film, so I was a little surprised that by the end, Iron Man's team is still in space and Cap's team is still on Earth. The reunion will probably happen in the second of these Infinity movies. I'm not sure what they're going to call the Infinity War sequel. It might be part 2 or it might be something else. We'll see. Another really strong component to this film was the relationship between the Scarlet Witch and Vision. I like that it just... Sometimes with the sequel, when you pick up, everything is the same as it was when the last film ended. Here, they posit that time has passed. Yes, we've seen that in other films. But that I like that Wanda and Viz are exploring their relationships and their feelings for each other, so they've been kind of sneaking away from each other's side to have moments together and see if they can truly be a couple. I liked that relationship. And then, as I mentioned, there's the moment where Gamora asks Peter to kill her. When Vision asks Wanda to destroy him, it's the same thing. It's that beat that we're seeing again. Parallel moments with different characters was kind of a reoccurring thing in this film. I'm glad that they advanced that relationship. I'm glad that it went that way so we could have those strong moments where Vision is, again, saying to Wanda, kill me. I'm saying kill me because I trust you more than anyone, which is, again, parallel to what Gamora had with Peter. But why did the Vision look human? They never explained that. I mean, the Vision could never shapeshift in the comics. That was new. Biggest complaint about this movie, and not really a complaint because I really love this film, was that there wasn't much character advancement for Cap's team. They just kind of show up and get into the action. There's no meeting between Captain America and Iron Man, between the Winter Soldier and Iron Man. Hulk and Black Widow see each other and she just goes, oh, hi. And there's no exploration of their feelings. I suspect that since most of them were still alive at the end of this film, that's going to be explored in the next movie. They're kind of rationing out their moments for the characters. Some they got to get done in this film because they're going to be erased by the end of it. Some they're going to save for the next movie. But yeah, Cap did not have a lot of growth in this film. There wasn't much for him other than, let's get into this fight and save the day. And I guess I was spoiled by The Winter Soldier and Civil War because there were a lot of great Captain America moments in those movies. But again, those were Captain America movies. Going back to the Hulk, again, not nearly as much character moments as I would have liked, but at least Banner got to do some more stuff in this film. I like that he got to pilot the Hulk armor. I like that he got to interact with Shuri in Wakanda. We'll get to that in a moment. I liked that he was the one who kind of had to warn Tony and Doctor Strange about Thanos is coming, but that the Hulk was just in the beginning and then gone away. I think what it'll lead to is that the Hulk is actually scared of Thanos since Thanos beat him up in a fight and he's never lost before. That supreme rage also came with confidence, and now the confidence is shattered. He doesn't want to come back out, so we'll see. We'll see where that goes. It'd be neat if when Banner finally convinces Hulk to come out of his shell, as it were, in the sequel, it leads to a new Hulk, like one of the intelligent versions of the Hulk that you get when Banner and the Hulk blend together, gel together more perfectly, rather than when they're fighting each other. So I'd like to see some evolution for the Hulk in the next one. It was nice to revisit Wakanda so soon after Black Panther. You know, there was no guarantee that Black Panther was going to be as big a hit as it was, so that they put so much of Wakanda in this film is a nice surprise, let's say. And I'm glad we finally got to see Shuri with some of the super smart people like Bruce Banner, but I really want her to meet Tony Stark at some point and maybe get put in her place. I love the Shuri character. Letitia Wright's great, but she's almost too smart. She's the child prodigy, I assume, but, you know, at some point it'd be nice if somebody came up with something she didn't think of. Because right now you've got her confounding the established geniuses. Peter Dinklage was in this. I think it's a better role than what he had as Trask in Days of Future Past, although that was a very kind of underwritten character. This one, not a huge improvement. Better, but not great. He only had like one funny line with, well, yes, that's what's killing me. Oh, never. You know, that was kind of like a Tyrion Lannister moment where the other person doesn't understand what he's saying. Mostly he was just kind of moping around. Oh, the other dwarves are dead. I'm so sad. I loved the idea of a giant dwarf. I loved the visual of Peter Dinklage in this. Let's just leave it at that. With the rest of the cameos, they all worked, except maybe for Ned. I liked Pepper being in there because it shows that Tony's continued emotional and maturing is going on. He wants to have a family with her now. They're married. They're getting married. I'm not sure. Stan Lee, great as always. You act like you've never seen a spaceship before, true believers. Okay, I could not have been more surprised that the Red Skull was in this. That surprised me more than Yoda in Last Jedi. I did not see that coming. That really shocked me. I'm disappointed Hugo Weaving didn't come back for one scene, but, you know, c'est la vie. I did not expect that to be the Red Skull, that he's been there this whole time since the end of the first Avenger. That was a shock. I would have liked if somebody had name dropped Steve Rogers. Rogers! He's still alive? Nah! I did miss Hawkeye and Ant-Man again. I hope they're in the sequel. As for the ending of the film, I would have been happy if just when he did, it cut to black. But you do have to see the consequences. I'm glad they had that moment with Thanos encountering young Gamora and just kind of admitting that the price he paid was extremely high. But that's the thing about being a fanatic. You get to be fanatical. This was a dark ending for a movie. This was the Empire Strikes Back of Marvel films, and it's getting a lot of praise right now. I loved it. I shouldn't have to tell you this. Go see Avengers Infinity War. You're going to have a great time. It flies by. It was 2 hours, 40 minutes, but it just went by like that. It's really a lot of fun. Great performances. A lot of heart and emotion, and I didn't expect that. This is a really good film, and I'm really looking forward to the sequel, which will probably be a year or so. I'm not sure. That's it for now. Go see this film. You'll love it. I believe the next one up that I'm going to be reviewing is Deadpool 2. Until then, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek.